Happy election year, everyone, and welcome to the October 2020 Midwest Horror Network special, where every day this month we are watching one of the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episodes. Before we go any further, you can throw your vote away by hitting that like and subscribe button, and of course, giving our videos a share. Alright, today we're talking about the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror number 7 from Season 8. In fact, it is the Season 8 premiere, and I believe this is the first time that a Halloween special was the season premiere. This is probably the most interestingly structured episode as a whole.
That seems a little late for a season premiere.
Yeah.
All the way in October. Like, was there a writer's strike going on at the time?
No, it's, I know that, like, the baseball season has always had, like, a weird effect on when
The
Simpsons premieres. But yeah, it premiered on October 27th, 1996.
Wow, that is late for a regular show to do their season premiere for that.
And in fact, a lot of the later seasons, the Halloween episodes are the premieres, but they premiere in November. Because of the baseball season.
Yeah, because Fox hosts the World Series.
Yeah.
And that kind of fucks with a lot of things.
I got Aladdin win the World Series that year.
I know that they've done a lot of lead-ins with the Simpsons and with the World Series over the years. Sports. Anyway.
So yeah, this is a really interesting one in that the intro and the first two segments, and we're probably going to blow right through them, much like the writers did, because it is very clear that they wanted to give the third story the most attention.
This is kind of weird.
It is because
the previous Treehouse of Horrors, like you can tell the stories are about evenly.
Yeah,
one might be a little or shorter or a little longer, but on the whole, they've all been pretty even. So yeah, it was like the writers knew they wanted that third segment to be the centerpiece this episode, and it was like they kind of shortchanged the first two segments just to really soup up that last one.
They had to.
Yeah. And it did feel like the perfect length for that story. Because before we started recording this, I was thinking, well, would it have been better if they just gave the whole episode to that story? But I'm thinking, no, I think it would have lost momentum. So I think that third story was the perfect length for what it needed to be. It's just unfortunate that they're only given 22 minutes with 8 minutes of commercials to fill out a half hour, and those first two segments just got shortchanged. But yeah, let's get into it. So very quick intro on this one. We thought the last episode's intro was quick. This one might have been quicker. Homer tries to light a candle in a jack-o'-lantern. He gets set on fire. And then on the couch is sitting the Grim Reaper, and he's just pointing at the Simpsons, and they're just dropping dead.
And he uses them as a
footrest.
Footrest. It's great.
Yeah. And then, Simpsons Treehouse of Horror 7. Goes into our first story, The Thing and I. David, tell us about The Thing and I.
Besides it being really short, wasn't really funny.
Yeah, there wasn't much to it. It was kind of a thing.
Yeah, it was very straightforward.
Yeah, essentially just like it kind of felt rushed. Like they just wanted to get to the last kind of segment of it, but I think it starts off as they are eating breakfast, or are they sleeping? I don't remember much about this.
They were sleeping, but Bartley's heard something in the attic.
Yeah, they were hearing something in the attic.
And then they were asking Homer and Marge over breakfast the next morning.
Yeah, they were asking what the noise was or whatever, and their responses for that was more of like them trying to hide something from the kids, and they are kind of, wise to it. And Marge tells Homer, it's time to, feed the thing.
It's a whole thing of fish heads.
Yeah, and he pulls a bucket of fish heads from the fridge. He's like, all right. Goes up to the attic, and the kids go and follow him. I guess this whole, whatever's in the attic scarfs the fish heads quite quickly, where it kind of terrifies Homer a little and kind of runs out of the attic. And then I think that night Homer and Marge go on a date, or they leave the house or whatever.
They go to wash the car.
Who needs a car wash if you can just drive through the rain?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sound advice, kids. Sound advice.
They put as much thought into that as they did into the rest of the segment.
Pretty much.
Pretty
yeah.
much, yeah. This was.
Yeah. The kids get curious. They open the attic, door or whatever. And the ladder comes down and go up and investigate and see, some kind of shadowy figure that.
Well, not
It
before
growls.
seeing Homer's unsold copies of his autobiography.
Oh yeah.
That was the one. It was a one joke of that whole episode that worked
What
for
was
me.
it called? Homer.
I
I
barely
barely
knew
know
me.
me.
And I went, okay, that's funny.
Not really.
It was stupid. It was stupid funny.
And there was one moment in this episode that made me laugh, but I'll point it out when we get there.
Gotcha. There's some rustling going on in the attic. Shadowy figure runs out.
What's the big reveal, David?
I don't know. It wasn't really any kind of big reveal.
It was that they're conjoined. It was a long.
That's later on. Essentially, he runs out. Parents come in. They realize the thing escaped. They call Dr. Hibbert and then said that Hugo ran out, and they were like, the kids are standing right there, and I'm like, Hugo? Who the hell is Hugo? And then he explains that Bart is has a twin.
Dun dun dun.
Conjoined twin. Apparently one of them was too evil to be let loose in society, so after they separated them, they decided to lock the evil twin in the attic and chain them and feed them bucket heads once a week. So they decide to leave Bart there alone while they go look for Hugo, and I guess probably
Homer wanted him to tape the hockey game.
Yeah, wanted him to tape the hockey game. That's probably like the funniest moment of the segment is like Lisa's like, I'm going to Radio Shack. Or I'm checking Radio Shack, which is
90s reference that was very dated.
very.
Again, there's going to be some references that are going to be timeless, and there's going to be some ones that are not timeless.
Kind of feel bad. Radio Shack.
Like, Radio Shack.
Yeah, I remember that was the thing.
I thought they were still around.
Not really.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Like they still like pop up here and there. I know Circuit City is completely gone.
Yeah.
I know that's one that's gone. I thought there were still a few Radio Shacks like here and there.
It's been Circuit City has been relegated to online, and I think now it's completely gone. But yeah, I kind of miss Radio Shack just because it's the filler, the filler store. Like, if you needed like a random part or a random thing to whatever, and you're like, oh, let's just go to Radio Shack. They got a bunch of random crap that'll probably fit this thing of whatever I need.
Yeah.
Random extension cord, random cord. But yeah, we don't have that anymore.
Yeah, so they go out looking for Hugo. Hugo was in the house waiting for Bart, eating some more fish heads, or I don't know what the fuck he was eating.
It was fish heads.
Fish
That's
heads
all he
again.
knows.
So we get a full reveal of what he looks like. Missing teeth, weird looking.
Scraggly hair.
Yeah.
Bad teeth.
It's a weird looking version of Bart, essentially.
Yeah,
Like the Hunchback of Notre Dame version of Bart.
Sure.
pretty much. Bart gets tied up in the attic, and we realize what Hugo's plan is to reattach himself to Bart after Bart didn't think it was a good idea, but Hugo was, I guess, experimenting and created a pigeon rat
I liked
combo.
the pigeon rat. That made me laugh.
So the pigeon's trying to fly and runs into the window and flops on his back, or flops on his back, and then the rat runs into the mouse hole and knocks
Hits the
fucking
pigeon.
knocks
Trying
him
to
out.
get into the mouse hole.
And then Dr. Huber comes in to stop Hugo. He's like, yeah, you never were able to look at yourself in the mirror, and grabs a frame, like a wooden frame. He's like, here, take a look at yourself, and it's just empty frame, and just punches Hugo and knocks him out.
Good stuff. Children violence.
Then they realize that Bart was the actual evil twin by the scar on his side. Was on his right? The scar?
Yeah, the left
Or
twin is the evil one, which
So it would be
means
his
the
right.
scar would be on the right.
Yeah.
I think we're thinking even more than the writers actually thought of this.
Yeah.
The,
I agree.
I think it took more time to explain this episode
So,
than
yeah,
the actual
probably.
episode.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They realized that they fucked up
segments.
and they had a solution to it, and pretty much Bart's the one that's locked up in the attic instead, and Hugo's sitting at the dinner table eating some turkey, and Bart gets the fish heads, and that was
And
pretty
Marge
much it.
just shuns him now.
Yep, and that was the end of the episode.
Yep.
Cut. Next segment.
I will say, for being very much shortchanged with the amount of time it was given, I do got to give this one credit for having beginning, middle, end. Even had that little twist of Bart was the evil one all along, which don't be so shocked. And it's far from one of the best segments, but I do think there are some merits to it in the very truncated amount of time that it was given.
Yeah, I think the issue I had with the segment was just too short.
Yeah,
If it was a lot longer, I think it would be probably my favorite segment.
Yeah, it had no breathing room. It is really the only one of the three that tried to go into that horror genre with the creepiness and shadowy figure of Hugo up in the attic and stalking Bart. So yeah, there are merits to this one, but it really was. It took some damage from that truncated running time.
It was okay. I laughed at a couple parts, and yeah, it did have a beginning, middle, and end, but it was okay.
Too quick.
Yeah, too quick. Didn't even have a
Well,
chance to breathe.
if we thought this one was quick, wait until we talk about the next one.
Jesus.
So, any last thoughts on Thing and I before we move on?
Not really.
Not really.
Anything to add?
Wasn't. I think, like I said, I think us explaining it was longer than the actual segment itself.
It was better.
Short than the Raven.
I was like, fuck you.
Dude, you're never gonna live that one down, bro. Sorry.
We're 7 episodes into this. You got to get some new material, Zach.
Nope. Didn't.
All right. So next segment, the Genesis tub. Mark, tell us about that one.
The Genesis tub. Yeah, I can tell you about that. So Lisa is making a science experiment where she has one of her teeth or toothus.
One of her teeth.
Sure. And she about that hooked on phonics thing. She takes out her tooth and she's doing a science experiment where she puts it in Coca-Cola. I need to specify. To see the effects of Coca-Cola. She's and she did make one joke that I did appreciate. She's like, yeah, I've already tested the effects on the tooth on alcohol, smoking, and Chinese food. And I'm like, no, that joke still works. And then she figures out through the course of the night that there's some mold that is being produced down there, and she's very excited about it. And then she gets even more excited when she figures out that there is a whole society living in there in the little bottom. And then she watches as time goes on how they progress as a society. They get even more futuristic, and of course Bart, being the douche that he is, begins to attack and fuck with this little society, and they hate him and they consider him a devil. So they actually end up getting enough future technology to make spaceships where they go and they attack. Which I will say about this one, the animation was actually pretty damn good. When they're going through that whole action sequence.
Yeah.
Eventually, Lisa gets shrunk down to the size of these civilizations. Turns out she's a god within this whole society, and Bart is the devil. So, and she continues to get worshipped. Bart eventually figures out that Lisa is gone, or I guess he doesn't really care, and he steals the science experiment and then pawns it off as his own, and then he gets the grand prize of a gift card or gift certificate somewhere, and then Lisa stays in the little tiny society and becomes a god, and that's about it. Again, very, very short. I've seen this concept done better in other places.
It's a Twilight Zone.
The
little people.
I'm sure most of the stuff has a phase in the Twilight Zone. Obviously, this was much later on, but the show, The Orville, ironically done by Seth MacFarlane, did an episode that was similar to this. It didn't involve like a shrinking society, but it didn't involve about a normal person getting turned into a god and the problems that arise from that. So it's a similar concept, but it certainly reminded me of that episode, and I think it was done better in that episode than in here. Again, too short, way too short. It was, it did have did someone have a beginning, middle, and end? Kind of, not really.
Like it had its beginning, and then it had its middle of Bart being the conflict, and then the ending. I mean, it had an ending, but it kind of just dropped off. Or it's like, okay, Bart won science fair, and Lisa's just trapped there, and she wants some shoes.
That's it.
Yeah.
But
no, and it's again with the first one. There are some merits to it. The animation in that action sequence was really cool.
Yeah.
The concept itself is pretty cool. It was good to see a Lisa-focused story.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Her being a little annoyed towards the end was giving me some Maximum Overdrive flashbacks. Just a little bit. But
and I did think it was funny how she is just like, I'm trapped in this stupid tub forever, and she says that right in front of her followers, and just like, shouldn't you people be groveling?
There is like one funny bit, like when the guy's like, hey, Bill Johnson, whatever. I have a question.
If you're so good, why do bad things happen to good people?
Why am I fat?
Well, you probably eat too much. That's a start.
Well, that is definitely that was the only funny bit of the whole thing. But the rest of it, it was I kind of feel like these 2 episodes
they were given no breathing room. It was like, here is the outline of our story. Make it fill whatever time we have left over from whatever wasn't filled by segment 3. If we're able to fit some jokes in, cool, which they were able to. But at the end of it all, these felt like skeletons of full segments.
Yeah. What year was this again?
This would have been 96.
Was it an election year? Or?
Yeah, it was. It was literally 2 weeks before the.
That's probably why I focused more on the last.
Yeah, it was I mean, we said October 23rd or 26th.
27th, I think it was.
27th, that's literally the week before. So it made sense for it to, and I'm sure they wanted to get that in because it was the first episode and they wanted to make it timely. But honestly, at the end of the day, I would say that these first 2 segments, if I had to pick one word, is forgettable. I will not remember them.
Yeah, I forgot about this episode until I saw the screen grab there.
I mean, even when we were talking, when we were picking segments right before, we were like, "What happened again in that one?"
Yeah,
and we had just watched it, so
I enjoyed it more when I was a kid watching it than now.
They're not terrible.
No,
they're just they're
there.
They got handicapped by shorter runtime. I think either of these ideas could have easily been a lot better if they were given 1 or 2 minutes more, even.
Yeah. So yeah, that's that. I'm good with talking about those 2. I want to get into the third one.
Yeah, let's get into the meat of this episode. Zach, tell us about segment 3, Citizen Kang.
Yeah, I hated the name because I was expecting a Citizen Kane ripoff. The moment it started, I'm just like, oh fuck.
Yeah, I did hear you groan, and I was half expecting that too.
Yeah, I hate that goddamn movie with a passion, but thankfully it wasn't that. In fact, this episode was kind of funny and kind of terrible at the same time.
Please tell us.
So, starts off Homer's sitting in the middle of a little lake, fishing, just kind of relaxing, talking about how perfect it is, and he doesn't give a shit if he catches a fish or not, then proceeds to start yelling at the fish to get on the goddamn line. And then he gets abducted by aliens with one of those ridiculous, you know those machines you find in bowling alleys? Yeah, the claw machines that never fucking work.
I guess King Kodos learned that the tractor beam doesn't quite work on him.
Still, though, it's a hell of a lot more efficient. Just, grab the legs and shove his fat ass up into the ship. I mean, it would have been better. But anyways, they abduct him, ask him to take him to their leaders or whatever, and he's just like, yeah, just go to Washington. It's an election year, but it might change, but who the fuck knows? It's an election year. We can take advantage of this. So they go abduct Bob Dole and Clinton. And the best part of that was when Bob Dole's getting abducted, he's just like, this is not good for Bob Dole.
Bob Dole doesn't need this.
All right, for all the kids listening, Bob Dole was the guy who was a Republican guy who ran against Clinton, and he loved fucking talking in the third person.
Yeah.
Every time he would say something, he'd be like, Bob Dole, Bob Dole feels this way about it. You are Bob Dole. You don't need to tell everybody that fucking Bob Dole thinks this way.
But that's what makes it so great.
It is pretty great.
And then Clinton, is Clinton. Oh my God, is it midnight?
Is it noon already?
Oh yeah, no, he's like
Getting abducted.
Is it noon yet?
Oh, was it noon?
It was noon.
He's getting abducted. He's in his little bed. He's in his little pajamas and everything. Oh my God, is it noon yet? It's like, what the fuck?
Oh yeah, that was pretty great.
So yeah, they throw him in these little test tubes filled with liquid. They can't breathe. Hey, thanks for getting rid of my pup. Oh my God. And then Kane and Kodos, or whatever the hell their names are, decide to take the forms of Bob Dole and Clinton. And that's when things get kind of stupid, because they just be Kane and Kodos and Clinton and Bob Dole, and this is kind of what I said. It's like, it starts off good and then gets stupid, because they don't, do anything with, the Bob Dole thing or the Clinton thing. They just be Kane and Kodos. It's just I find it funny when they use, the voice impressions and they actually try to be the characters, but when they don't, it's just well, that's just lazy.
Yeah, I get it. So what else? So what happens next?
So they try to essentially just rig the election, or they just go through with the election, because it's who the fuck else are they going to vote for? It's well, no matter who they vote for, we win, so screw you. So they're just playing on with the election. Homer's trying to tell everybody that they're really aliens, but nobody believes him, because right before they Sparta kicked Homer out of the ship, they doused him in rum. So it's just no one will believe you, you drunk kick. So yeah, Homer's trying to tell everybody. Nobody believes him. So he's just walking throughout the forest one day and stumbles into the ship. He hits his head. He hits his foot in this bush or whatever.
I feel like you're skipping over a lot of the election.
There's a lot of election. There's a lot of election funny bits.
There's the Bob Dole and the abortions thing. That was really funny.
No abortions forever. Abortions for everybody. Boo. No abortions. Boo.
Abortions for some, miniature American flags for others.
Yay!
And of course, them holding hands and everybody just
that was funny.
Staring at them.
This is how we share proteins. Fucking Democratic convention van pulls up on the side of the road. You're like, yeah, it's kind of weird. I don't know.
You and your opponent are constantly holding hands.
Concerned.
Yeah, we're a bit concerned. Yeah, that was pretty great. So anyway,
so Homer finds the ship.
Yeah, he finds the ship. He releases Bob Dole and Clinton and ends up killing them in the process. Right as they're we're going to put our differences aside and team up, which, God forbid, if you ever see that in real life. And then instead of ejecting them from the tubes, he ejects them into outer space that proceeds to crash back on Earth, run
and
down,
now
rip
Clinton and Dole are just floating through space, naked and dead.
It's kind of disturbing though. They were fighting for alive, and all of a sudden they just go cold and stiff. I'm oh God.
I really wanted one more Bob Dole joke.
No, that's too much. It's too much.
Just one more.
But yeah, he crashes the ship back on Earth, reveals Kane and Kodos, and then you get the highlight of the episode where it's just well, you got to vote for one of us because it's a two-party system. Then you have that one guy in the crowd who's just I'm going to vote for a third party. Then Kane and Kodos, go ahead, throw your vote away. We don't give a damn.
Then what's his
Ross
face?
Perot.
Yeah, Ross Perot
Punches clean through his head.
Oh, that was great. And then they become slaves.
All of humanity is enslaved to build a ray gun to point at a planet that they've never even heard of. But don't blame Homer because he voted for Kodos.
I'm playing at voting for Kodos.
I really like this one.
I like this one a lot. This is a great episode. I do agree with Zach though. I would have liked to have seen more impressions, but Simpsons.
But at the same time, you don't want to date it too much.
Hey,
They're already kind of because it's already specific to that election, but it's it's gonna be rerunning for who knows how long. So it's still gotta maintain some resemblance of timelessness. And I think they did a very good job with that.
I get it. But I enjoyed it when they were doing it so much that I
like
kind of
those
was.
were the highlight of the episode for me, and then as soon as they just go to normal, it's like, oh, okay.
There's some really good fucking political jokes though. The whole thing about the abortion is fucking funny.
Yeah. Still to this day, that holds up.
And I think it works that Kang and Kodos weren't trying to impersonate Clinton and Dole. I think the fact that they were still just aliens, having no idea like what our political system actually is, I think it played into the humor a bit more that way.
Yeah, and then like the whole thing of like literally their plan was hilarious, and like I think this little bit was a little bit too smart for its own good, because he literally said, he was like, either way, we'll enslave humanity. And I'm like, this is hitting a little bit too close to home. That they're all in cahoots with each other, and it doesn't matter who you vote for. That's a little uncomfortable, but it's true. That particular portion was pretty fucking timeless, I will tell you that.
Yeah.
But yeah,
and I also liked when Homer first got on the ship, and he was like, "Well, I guess you want to probe me," and he just pulls his pants down and was like, "Stop! We've reached the limits of what rectal probing can teach us."
Again,
That was
a
fun,
side gag that it would have been another one that I would have loved to see that episode too.
No.
Trial and error.
No,
The
that reaction was all I needed.
fair
Yeah,
enough.
no, ain't no play.
Fair enough.
Yeah, we're not doing that.
Not hitting the dirt road, David.
No.
Anyway,
on.
Yeah. I think Citizen Kang is one of the classic quintessential Treehouse of Horror segments.
I understand why they had to devote so much attention to
Yeah.
it. I understand what was going on in the society. I understand like the timeliness of what it had to happen. So I appreciate the other segments did suffer, but I think
But they weren't terrible.
they weren't terrible. But I think it was,
And they were quick enough where it's like, okay, we got to the centerpiece here. So it is a very lopsided episode in a way, but it's not like those first two are terrible.
no,
It's not like
Like I said,
it's not like Treehouse of Horror 2 where we had like a freaking drop off halfway through Bart being in control of everything, and then Mr. Burns getting Homer's brain. It's not like the slog that those were.
yeah,
Like there was missing something.
yeah. No, I hear you on that.
This
yeah.
one just needed to be extended a little bit,
Yeah.
but
just to explore more. Like with the first segment, maybe explore more either with Bart in the attic, maybe, or more of Hugo in the attic. One of the two.
it was worth it to me. Those other episodes did suffer, but I think the episode, the last bit was really good, and I was cool with it.
Yeah.
With the other, I was kind of cool with those other two being sacrificed. I really was. I had no issues with them putting the main focus on it. And if I
Satanist.
yeah, I know, if I had to pick like a favorite like Kane and Kodos moment, or a favorite Kane and Kodos bit, this would definitely be that.
Yes, I agree.
Definitely be this.
Yeah, because the other ones, more.
Yeah, this is 2 episodes in a row where we didn't get them just wasting
cameo.
time laughing in their spaceship.
Yeah, it's more than a cameo this time around.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's a very focus on that
Yeah,
episode.
pretty much.
So, yeah.
Yep. Any last thoughts on Citizen Kang before we move on to our categories?
Much, much better than the Raven.
No, you enjoyed this episode, Mike. That segment.
Like I said,
much
it had
better.
its moments. It's
Yeah.
definitely one of the better episodes, but I'm just saying it's of course better
And
than the
we
Raven.
will be a trio for the next
I
episodes.
I will
we
say,
will die.
as much as I like the Raven, Citizen Kang is better than the Raven.
So are most segments.
So are all segments.
Just wait until we get to some of the later ones.
Yeah.
Funniest moment. Is there any question? Go ahead, throw your vote away. Like, does anybody have another moment they want to throw in?
The abortion thing, like pretty much.
You
Like,
both
all
like
my
it.
favorite.
That's
there
funny.
were other good jokes, but as far as funniest goes,
That and then the
Yeah.
the Bob Dole thing made me laugh really hard.
I was gonna say, if anything, the doctor punching the kid in the face.
Yeah,
It's just like,
that was a good one.
bam.
You never saw yourself before.
But that was actually a nice moment of visual trickery there, because even you as the audience are adjusting to like, wait, what am I looking at? And then you realize the same
I saw that and I'm like, oh, this motherfucker's about to get BAM! Oh shit!
Like pretty much that was a good segment.
Yeah. So Thing and I had some good stuff, and it's just it had no breathing room, so it's like you can't.
I thought the other two were fine the way they were. Like, you could clearly tell they wanted to get to episode 3, but they were short, simple, and they weren't as bad as the Raven, so it's fine.
Yeah, mine was just like they're willing to work together, and then Homer just launches them into space. That was probably the funniest moment for me. Just because they're struggling for life, and I just
does that mean Zach likes the first 2 segments more than the 3 of us did?
Maybe.
Zach's growing
Secretly
up.
loves-
I'm
Shut
proud
up.
of him.
Little boy's growing up.
It's like the slow integration of American Psycho.
Yeah.
I do not like American Psycho.
So for scariest, creepiest, and grossest moment, my pick is the concept of American politics.
Jesus, Brandon. Only you would say that.
I can't wait.
I love you.
If ever we were going to get an audience
That
that hates us...
one of the douchiest things I've ever heard you say.
I feel no shame.
Dude, you said some
He
douchey
doesn't.
things over time,
Ladies and
recorded
gentlemen,
and
he
not
does not.
recorded.
Well, in my defense, for scariest, creepiest, or grossest moment, does this episode really have anything else?
No, I think the creepiest is just the Hugo design. It's kind of funny to sing
Alright.
Bart.
Fair.
Yeah, not much.
I don't think
Yeah, that
a
was
naked
pretty much
Clinton
it.
is anything anybody but really wanted to see.
Okay, yeah, naked Dolan Clinton is pretty scary.
Yeah, that is pretty,
Yeah.
yeah, it's pretty scary. Especially, like at
Floating
least
around his
like
face.
Naked Clinton, I've seen in other bits. Like I've seen it on Family Guy and South Park.
It's a wonderful day to be new.
Yeah, like literally, I've seen it in other places. So I'm like, I'm it's awful, but I'm at least used to it. Bob Dole, yeah, no, I've never seen Bob Dole naked before, and I never want to see him naked afterwards.
Ugh.
In 1996 or now. The
At least Clinton had a few secretaries out naked. Maybe I don't think he even got that.
Any last takers for creepiest, scariest, or grossest moment?
there really wasn't. I mean, that was it.
Like this episode really wasn't going for that.
I would say the two, presidential candidate and president being both
I
being
guess
naked.
I think maybe like the Frankenstein pigeon and rat was kind of disturbing.
I found that way more funny than disturbing.
I
or
was
gross or
fucked up
anything.
and-
I had a howling good time looking at that and laughing.
It's because you're disturbing, Brandon, and we love you.
True. But yeah, the third episode was third segment was awesome.
For best segment, is anybody not going to pick the third one?
No.
All right. Worst segment.
Um,
I'm going to go with Genesis Tub.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with number 2 as
Second.
well. At least
It's not terrible, but
at least the first one had a few things in there. Like it just wasn't that good.
No. It
Yeah,
could've
Zach,
been
are you
better.
with us on that?
Sure.
If it had a
Alright.
better ending, I think I would.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna pick that just because of the ending.
Yeah. So yeah, this was Treehouse of Horror number 7. Bit of a weird one in more ways than one, but ultimately, because of that third segment, very much worth our time, I think.
Nice.
Yeah. What else is there to be? What else
That was
is there
about
to
as
say?
that was about as anticlimactic as the ending of segment 2.
Segment 2.
Yep.
All right. I mean, either way, our planet is doomed. So, yeah, be sure to listen to our regular podcast, the Nightmares Podcast. You can find us all at Midwest Horror Network on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Slasher.
And then, of course, you can also check out our awesome show, The Screaming Room, where we comment, react, and chat about awesome, underrated horror movies that a lot of people wouldn't necessarily know about. Dolls, Society, and a couple other great ones. And then also check out our narrative show, Living Nightmares, where we go ahead and put real-life experiences to the screen. And if you can like, share, subscribe, and tell all your friends, neighbors, best friends about our channel, that would be wonderful. Thank you so much, and as always, we'll see you soon.
Happy October.